the impact of technology and natural science on migration. Um, Migration is the movement of species from one part to another one, according to but however, the definition of migration is different from one person to another one concerning how you use it for ornithologists, which is the study of bird movement, the people that study bird movement. They define migration as the displacement of birds, a round turn of bird from one place to another one. But a lot of researchers don't agree with that definition, and they think that it's a moving of one partial unit to another, which is like more global. When we're talking about migration, it doesn't concern only humans, but it concerns also animals or species. You could talk about the migration of species from one stage to another. Genetic modified plants and food animal can be also considered as a migration. And in this presentation, I'll be pointing out the impact of modifying the genes on migration and what is it about, what are the advantages and what is that the disadvantages. Migration of biological species. I'm sorry, don't mind my language. I'm from a French language, so I got a little kind of struggle pronouncing English. So species are a group of organisms that can breed from each other and produce fertile offspring. We have a lot of movements of different group species from one part to another one due to global warming, raining patterns, season change, import, export, and also developmental and change transformation process of species. Nowadays, the technology that we have allow us to even change a complete chain of animal or species, which is also a kind of migration. But when we're talking about import and export of species, it affects a lot of part of that. The import and export of species affect multiple areas of the globe. In many places, we have a lot of species that we think are originally from that side, but if you dig into history, they're really not. An example from our country, we have a certain kind of mangoes that everybody is familiar with. But after digging after that kind of mangoes, because they're really different to the regular mangoes, like white mangoes and all that, we find that when the colonization came out, Europeans came out in countries with new species that in their country, and those species stays there for life. People are used to it and they think it's from that side of the country, but really it's not. But the import and export of species can also be economic. People import and export species to have some kind of economy, and controlling that import and export is really hard. It's not really doable in certain countries like African country or all over the world. One of the big examples of animal import and export is the case of Australia, which import and export close to 150 million sheep and cattle in other part of the world, like the Southeast Asia or Middle East. And all those animals have been caged in chips and a lot of them lose their life in the like struggle of traveling, going around the sea to one part to another, which is not good. And on the other side, we have the development of new species. And as a science major, I had a lot of projects on changing the DNA of one species to another, mating on two DNA to find another hybrid. The process by which we new species are formed is called speciation, and the technology very advanced based on what you can use to extract the genes. You could always even create like a new species that's better than which one you have now. For example, we have like fruits. Now fruits are bigger. We can even have bigger chicken. You're gonna see a chicken that's not naturally big, really big, just to fulfill the necessity of everybody. But concerning that, how is the DNA modification work? The DNA modification is taking one original species, right, and try to modify it and see if you could come up with the same species but with different characteristics. And all them modification, the GMOs and the hybrids, they have effects on the nationwide and our environmental issues. As I'm talking about technology, GMO modification, genes modification, you know that technology is really implicated in the development of species and also the migration, and they have a lot of advantage, like I pointed before, and disadvantage, which is I'm gonna start with the advantage, which is is a good source of biodiversity. We have a food self-sufficiency. We have more food because we have like bigger stuff, bigger product for everyone, long lasting. You could conserve an apple that was modified for like a couple of weeks without getting like destructed, and also, like I said, easy conservation of food. But the disadvantages are the invasion of alien species. Like I say, in my country, we have a lot of. I just took the example of a mango, but there's a lot of species that we have there, and we don't even know where they're from, but they're not original from our country, and we kind of lose our original species. Like after all, everybody get used to the new species, and they're trying to just get them instead of the original one. So at the end, you lose the original one, and you can find it nowhere. We have also the socio-economic damage, because people who sell or use the product as the original product selling, if a lot of people don't want the original one because they're used to the new version, they're gonna lose economically, and which is not good neither. And we have also the health issues. GMOs are really pure like lab, and we really don't know how they get it come up and what is the effect long lasting, and we risk cancer and disease due to that modification of genes. And also the taste of the food is a little bit different. If you ever have a really big apple and you have like a real like original apple, you could tell about the taste. The taste is different. But going around that, I'm gonna wrap up with like the impact of technology on those and natural science on those genes, and connected to the migration. But how can we stop that? How can we put something that's gonna be better? Because GMOs are here to help us too, but how can we come up with a better species that are not going to hurt us? For that, I think educating the population about GMOs and the effects on us and how to use them, what to eat, what to put together, or not would be really beneficial. Regulating the import and export to see if we're not wasting our own resources or we're not getting too many resources to take off the old one, the original one off, and conserving original species, because there's a lot of labs working on new species. But it's also good to conserve the original species, because one day probably we're gonna need them. Because if we don't have an original species and we have GMOs and we're talking about cancer and all them disease, how can we come back to the natural if we really don't have it? For doing that, we need to find researchers, because we have to go through research and find out how we could come up to a better thing for all, a bigger and tasty food, or chicken or buffalo or whatever, and to go through that and be healthy. And I'm done. I'm open to questions.
So, when we talk about GMOs and genetic modification happens naturally as well as what we're doing, which is the engineering and modifications ourselves. What's the difference in timing? Like, how quickly does a genetic modification happen in a regular plant that is noticeably improving the species when you compare it with how we can do it pretty quickly? Like, we find an idea within weeks and we can genetically modify it.
Like I was asking you about, like kind of taking wolves from wild to domestic. It takes a very long time to swap from like wild to domestic. The same thing with plants and all that. It could take millions of years, concerning on which climate, what is the raining patterns that you have. It depends on all that. You could have the same tree with the same size in here, like a really big size, but when you go to Africa, because of the climate and the rainy season, how it is, like drought and all that, you cannot have the same evolution as it is, and he's going to change due to the minerals that he's taking, because the minerals that we have here is not the same over there. So it could take a very long time. That's why a lot of people, to go through that process really fast, we have to use science and go through it really quick, and which is not good, which is bringing up Feissal and all that, which is not good.
It's not so much a question, I just wanted to go off something you said. I really like that you pointed out specifically the cattle, especially with Australia, because I think we don't often think about, like, especially in a place like Australia, here you have a continent that's largely unlivable and largely unusable land that you can't grow, you can't raise cattle on, and things like that, and so you're limited to very small sections in which you can actually raise this thing. But in order to do that, you have to clear away your other natural resources. So, like, northern Queensland has all these beautiful rainforests, but most, like, at least, 85%, I think it is, or roughly around there, is being cleared away so that you can make room for raising cattle, which are then shipped overseas. And so it's not actually going back into their same market, it's just being sent around. So you're basically raising money for your country for other people to eat. So it becomes this kind of issue of using, I think one thing that we can do is just focusing more on what products can we produce within our reasons that is going to be more beneficial to sustaining our what resources you have there, rather than just saying, well, people need lumber, so let's just cut everything, or people, instead of focusing on the generalizable resources that everyone wants, focus on the specific things that you can tailor.
I agree with you, and I would like to point one example. In Central Africa, there's really revolution on selling lumber and all other type of like wood, but they usually not original from there. When Europeans came out in Africa, they wanted to use the land for something. Like you said, we have more rainfall in that central region, and it's better to grow all this stuff right there. So it stays there, and the original species that were there have been like kind of hiding by this because everybody want to grow this and sell them because it's more socio-economic stuff. I want to get money, I have to grow this. I don't care about our species that we have in our country because it's not that valuable. So this is like a danger to our own forest and all that, which is not really good. And I guess, like you say, it's really good for other parties. It's good to help other countries come out of what they cannot produce themselves. But we really need to understand that we have to conserve our own species and go on with it. Even if it's socio-economical, I want to get some money. It's good to really conserve our species.
You talk about GMA, she talk about natural GMA.
Yeah.
Do you know between both which one is I want to say that fragile to give disease to people in both between both?
Of course, the GMOs that we do in the lab, because the natural one doesn't have that much problem because it's natural. He changed based on circumstances. He changed based on the floor on it, which land are you using, and what is the rainfall. A lot of advantages from the floor. It's not something that's chemical. You don't use no chemical to force anything. When I talk about DNA modification, it's a kind of proteins building. You build up protein, you broke them, and you put them together to form another one that's better. So all that included a lot of kind of toxins and all that we really don't know, but the industry that's working on it don't really care because, as I say, socio-economical, because they really want their money. So they don't care about the effect. But we eat them all the time. I can't say I don't eat them. I eat them all the time. But we just have to be careful, and when we shopping for it, know what you eat and not.
It's not always about like what you.
I just want to add on that. Actually, individuals nowadays they're becoming health conscious and they're opting to non-GMO products, which is great. So I think we just need like proper education about what are we putting into our body, which is really important. And when you said about like conserving the regional species that we have, there's actually a seed vault. I don't know if you ever heard about that. There's a seed vault in Norway that they collect different seeds from different countries all over the countries to preserve for we never know what's gonna happen in the future. So which is like good to sustain our partnerships. So, yeah.
They're doing that with animal DNA as well.
They do. Oh,
Yeah, they're collecting animal DNA and freezing it so that you can
great.
clone
Last time I
animals.
saw a video about it, and also when you're talking about those, it's not just the plants, it's also animals. And the most practical is the chicken. We have chickens coming up like every single day without even like natural coast and all that. It just and even the eggs. My big brother have like a kind of back home, have a kind of industry, like he produces eggs, and this is really amazing. This chicken doesn't have to like go around each other, which is we naturally used to. You see a chicken running around the chicken, and after you have eggs and all that, the chicken gotta stay on the eggs like for 34 days, and then have a new chicken. I'm telling you, those chicken, they just give them food, and then they pump eggs, and the same eggs are gonna go through how you call it, the cove, and then they have new chickens, and those chickens doesn't even take a month to grow. In 1 week, you have already a big chicken that's gonna give another egg. And I experienced it myself because I was in charge of it. And I was asking myself, how come? How is it possible? Just eat something and pound like eggs. And imagine what you're eating right now. If it's chemical that you put in that food to form egg, how is it possible? How is it working? You never know. So it's really not good for us.
And just to add something, you know, when we mess with nature, that's why we are getting sick. Yes. You know, long years ago, people used to live longer. Now, if you notice the human lifespan, it's really shorter because we're messing with nature. Yeah. Yeah, and our bodies have not changed in the way we take in food and break it down, but they're changing the food. So just imagine what happens when it goes inside. Yeah.
Just to go on what you were saying there about chickens, I come from Salisbury University, which is right next to where Purdue is located, and literally we had a former geneticist that worked with Purdue come in and talk to us and stuff. He left because of a medical thing, because they were doing some stuff he didn't like, but he was saying about chickens nowadays are about as natural